Joining us today is Kristin Huntley, a seasoned growth marketing leader whose experience spans global B2B organizations like Wipfli, ESAB Group, and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Known for her expertise in content strategy, SEO, and customer experience, Kristin has a proven record of connecting with audiences and transforming complex digital ecosystems into high-performing channels that deliver measurable business results. That's a mouthful. But wow, that is a great way to introduce you. So welcome. Glad to meet you.
Thank you, Paul. It's nice to meet you too. And thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. What moment in your career has taught you the most?
Gosh, that is such a great question. And I thought about that and I thought, really, it's the failures. And so there's many. Whether it was when I was just starting out and I remember sending postcards off and actually getting the return address printed on the wrong side, or making those small mistakes that you make when you're in a hurry or you're just beginning and you don't know the pitfalls of trying to juggle too many things. So it's those moments where I've had to go to the person that's my leader, go to the person that I've let down and say, I've let you down. Here's what happened. And this is how I know it'll never happen again, is because once it happens, hopefully you learn from it and you move forward. And I would say to earlier career professionals, don't keep that in mind as you're getting started. And later career professionals, remember the art of taking responsibility and owning when you mess up, because we're not robots, we're humans. And you can learn a lot about how to treat people in those difficult moments, those difficult failures. And I think that's what they've taught me, is how people are treated in those moments is the difference between how they grow as professionals and move forward.
I think that's a great point. When your colleagues or team members describe you, what 3 words would they consistently use?
Well, I asked a couple of.
That's a great idea.
Because I'm like, I don't know. Word salad is what you would get from me. But 3 that emerged were strategic, authentic, and insightful. So I think one of my superpowers, one of my former team members said, is cutting through all of the junk to find the story, find the path, find the journey, find their next right step. And I'm always telling team members that I've coached, you only have to know the next right thing to do. You make a strategy and you try and follow it. And sometimes that strategy in the middle of it reveals to you that you need to pivot. And so you only need to know the next right step that you need to take. And so I think those strengths of strategy, authenticity, and being able to say, hey guys, I think what we thought is not going to work anymore. We need to pivot. And being flexible, and then having the insight into how processes work and come together over my decades of experience help me see where we need to change and shift. And that insight comes in really handy. It can help you avoid some mistakes or going too far in the wrong direction, I guess.
Yeah. But I think all of those tie back to what you were talking about in your first answer, and being how you handle problems and how you handle apologies as a leader as well really are very important. So that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Outside of your professional achievements, what passion project or personal interest has taught you skills that make you better at what you do?
Yeah, I would say I'm very much the same person at work that I am in life. And that is something that my former colleagues would tell you. I grew up in a very musical family. I went to college on a music scholarship. I've always written poetry, written music, written songs. And I was just telling you before we got started this past year, I wrote a children's book called Georgia and the Basset Hound ABCs, a picture book about my Basset Hound Georgia that I rescued. And it was something that I think it's a children's book, and I self-published, and it was a time I actually self-published after I got laid off of a job. It was a bucket list item that I wanted to do. So another way that you leverage failure is take those opportunities, those pauses. I said this is going to be fun employment, not unemployment.
That's a
And
great idea.
I'm going to do something that I've always wanted to do. And it was something that actually my grandmother, who was 99 at the time, said, you need to write books for kids. And so I did it. It was a great experience learning how to self-publish, learning all of the process of that. But I think my entire life I've always been creating. I'm a photographer and I did freelance photography early in my career. So anything creative, you'll find me doing, even when I'm not at work. And I think that that part of myself keeps me connected to the childlike learner in me. I have had the nickname Curious Kristin many times because I'm a question asker, and I think those creativity pursuits in my personal life have kept me creative and sharp at work and always a learner, which I think being a constant learner is a really important trait, especially as you move into your career. You can tend to think, oh, or not end, but the later stages or more mature stages of your career, you can think you've seen it all, done it all,
Mhm.
and reminding yourself that you haven't, you still have things to learn is really important.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me about a mentor?
Yes. I have had many, I've been lucky to have many mentors. Early in my career, I was a freelance marketer, a freelance operator, essentially. I live in a very entrepreneurial city, Kansas City, Missouri, and there's the Kauffman Foundation and the Hellsberg Entrepreneurial Mentorship Project. They're all very big. It's called the Silicon Prairie. There's a lot of technology. There's a lot of growth here. So I had the opportunity to work with businesses of all kinds who were in the growth stages of their business and trying to level up. And once you get one good client and you do a great job for them, they tend to let you be shared with their other entrepreneur friends. They work together, and so that really was very much my early career. And what shaped me was the creativity of those entrepreneurs, the tenacity that they have, and I think that has really been massive influence to me. So personally, but outside of those entrepreneurs who have been a lot of mentors to me there, I would say Seth Godin. I went through the Alt MBA with Seth Godin. So Seth has been someone who has been very influential to me as a marketer. Passively, I've read his blog since it was, but it hasn't changed much. That's the thing. Seth can say so much without saying using many words, and I've learned a great deal from him.
My wife would love that. She is a huge fan of Seth Godin. So
Yeah, and the Alt MBA was a very transformational moment in my career, and I can share a little more about that a little later on. So
that's outstanding. Well, I think I might know what's coming, but what book or podcast has influenced you?
well, he's had a few throughout the years, and that's taken a break from that. I would say book. I wouldn't say one book. I would say books. But if I had to say one book, and that would be very, very hard, but it would be his book, Lynchpin, Indispensable. Are You Indispensable? It came out in 2011. And I think it was really forward thinking, especially for marketers, because we tend to, it's difficult. We can't label ourselves a developer or you can label yourself a strategist, but what does that really mean? Marketing is like everything. And so, really, what Seth did with Lynchpin was talk about how marketers are indispensable operators or people within your company that can see paths to growth. And that's where it ties in, I think, to my love of entrepreneurs and their spirit is those linchpins in your company don't always fit in, as they're not always the corporate citizen that somebody else is who knows how to follow all the rules and stay under the radar. That linchpin might stick out like a sore thumb and be asking hard questions you don't have answers to. And I think that has been the person I've been. I am naturally, and I have a hard time being different. So that book made me feel seen. It made me feel understood as a creative and as a marketer, and not shy away from asking questions, because I'd really like to surround myself with people who want to grow and want to find better, smarter ways of doing things, and find ways that they can spend more time doing the things that light them up rather than the things that are tedious and maybe are just because you've always done it that way.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
And I'll say 2 other books really quick.
Okay.
Creativity Inc. It's the story of the beginning of Pixar. It's by Ed Catmull and Amy Wallace. The subtitle is Overcoming the Unseen Forces That Stand in the Way of True Inspiration. And it's a great book for founders. It's a great book for people who need to remember there's a human side to work. And then another book I love is called Steal Like an Artist, 10 Things Nobody Told You About Being Creative by Austin Leon. And he's a great inspiration. It's a little square, small book, but it just reminds you there's not a lot that's new, but except for your vision and the way thing and the magic you bring to any process is your own vision and your own lens, which with you view the world. And I think my photography background has taught me that too. No 2 people take the same picture. It's the same with marketing and creativity in your work. It's bringing your full self to the table that is the game changer.
That is great. Great stuff. If you could spend a day learning anything from anyone, living or historical, who would that be and why?
Gosh, that was the toughest question. There's a part of me that wants to say Jesus because he's been an influential person, the most influential person in my life. And that would be maybe a cliche answer and take us down another path. But it's someone whose life obviously in my faith has inspired me, but the way he treated people is the way I seek to treat people in my own life. I fall short, but when I would want to spend the day with, I have a lot of questions for him. A lot. But another person that is in my career that is alive, that's been very influential is Wes Cow. She is the co-founder of Maven, which is a learning platform. She co-founded that with Seth Godin, the Alt MBA, and she teaches a course on Maven, the platform she co-founded in executive communication that I highly recommend. She's a great teacher, and I'll provide the link there. There are a million great classes on Maven that folks could really benefit from, but she is a creator and a builder, and yet has remained kind, human, and very accessible to people. She writes a Substack newsletter that is really amazing for marketers. I don't miss it. It comes out every Wednesday. So she's passively mentored me, and then I took the course this past fall and got to interact with her personally, and it was very transformational. She's someone that is very inspiring to me as well.
Fantastic. Now, let's wrap it up with
Okay.
What do you see as the future of your industry?
Well, I'm going to say what everyone said, but it is like saying AI obviously is the most transformational thing, but it's like you and I, Paul, are talking at a time when hey, the telephone has been invented. We don't have to use the Pony Express. And I don't have to wait 2 weeks for you to get a message from me. It's that big what we are experiencing with AI. So people say digital transformation and AI, and it can sound really buzzwordy, but it's like when the internet happened, and you and I are probably old enough to remember when the internet happened, and when we AOL chat and all of these things, even those can't really describe the level of transformation that AI is bringing into the marketplace. I would say the Pony Express to the telephone is a much better comparison. And I think with AI being the future, everybody can say all the buzzwords about it, but for me, I'll always bring it back to the human element. I think the way strategically using AI to really help you do the things that only humans can do in your organization well, which is for founders, for executives, for leaders, it's how can AI give you more time or free you up to know your people, to serve your people better, to serve them as humans. I think that is sorely missing in
Mm-hmm.
corporate America and AI. Everybody wants to leverage AI for revenue streams and revenue growth. And I would like to challenge them at some point that, and we're even seeing that in some industries where that is not the best use of AI. And really AI can be used, I think, just like anything that used to give us more time back to be more
Mm-hmm.
human and to do better creative work, to do more inspired work, to do more of the things that give us energy, that fuel us. I think we're a burnout culture. There's a lot of people that are hurting. And I like AI for the ways that it frees me to have more time for the relationships with the actual humans in my life. That
I think
that I think that's the power of AI. And I'm really excited to see leaders who will emerge, who will say, let's put this technology in its rightful place.
mm-hmm.
If we view it only as a way to achieve capital gains and grow the GDP, we're going to miss a huge opportunity to get a little bit of our humanness back that technology may have not taken. Because I'm a tech nerd, I'm a developer. I do develop, I do program, I do digital marketing. So I'm a believer in all those things, but I'm also a big believer in what energizes you and bringing yourself back to center. Whatever technology can do to do more of that, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
really powerful.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Awesome.
So well said. So well
Thank
said. So
you.
thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
I think this
you.
was fantastic. What's the best way for somebody to reach out to you?
Yeah, it's like the cobbler's children who have no shoes. My website's not up to date. It's always in progress. So I'd say the best way to connect with me would be on social media, on LinkedIn. It's just
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn /in/Kristin Huntley, KristinHuntley. And they can find all the ways to connect with me there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I'll share the link to my book about Georgia and the books that I shared in the podcast today with you for the show notes. So
Perfect.
thank you for your time, Paul. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
this. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's been a wonderful experience for us just being able to give back and do something good for people. So
Yes,
thank you.
it is.
We appreciate
I
it.
know.
So
I feel it. I feel the love. So thank you so much.
all right. Thanks so much. Take care.
You too.
MTMG, guidance that empowers.